Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. First off, I just want to say thank you for all the positive feedback that I had on the first video. Really appreciate it. A lot of people from the modified Tesla group showing some appreciation to the build. Thank you obviously for people that helped me do the build. They know who they are, but like I said, I'm not up, I wasn't always someone that was good at DIY in cars. The exterior especially I found a bit daunting, but yeah, just wanted to say thank you for everyone and all the positive comments. And yeah, hopefully I can bring some more interesting content surrounding this car, like other cars as well. So yeah, today's video is obviously going to be about the suspension, the setup that I have, and just go into a bit more about, I guess, what it's like driving it, riding it around as well, just give a bit more feedback into what it's like owning it. So let's get right into it. Of course, people obviously look at it and like, oh, is it just lowering springs? Is it a coilover setup? It's actually neither, or in fact what we have is a full replacement of the stock struts and dampers, and that is with the Tein Endura Pro Plus setup. And I also have H&R Lowering Springs, which lowers the car around 35 millimeters. It's probably one of the more aggressive options available in the market, but like I said, I do obviously like the aggressive look, and I didn't quite opt for a coilover because so many different options in the market, and how much adjustability do I really want? I know that there was a cheaper option to get the look that I wanted and also the ride quality that I wanted. So yeah, that's why I went in that direction. A lot of people say, like, how do I find it out? I think it was on the Tesla Motors Owners Club forum online, and someone had already tested out this setup, I think on Model Y's performance, because I think it has traditionally quite a crashy ride. But yeah, this is what I went for, and we'll go into it obviously in more detail, but I think it makes the car look way better. Stance is a lot more aggressive. This is exactly what these cars probably should have looked at when they came stock from the factory. In terms of the fitment, like I said, it's running 20x9s, and the offset is 25 or 26 all around, and I'm running a 5mm spacers in the front, 10mm on the back. And in terms of how stiff I have the suspension, it's 16-way adjustability, both in the front and in the rear, and I've got it at the stiffest setting all around. I did try it on a softer setting, and I found that it was just too floaty, too much like an SUV. Didn't feel like a sports saloon car or anything like that. So I kept on trying, like, can I get a bit softer? Can I get a bit softer? And I just opted to just put it all stiff, and that's when it finally felt right for me. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Like I said, I'll show you a few different shots of the suspension here and the fitment, but yeah, we'll probably just go into what it's like to drive around on a day-to-day. Yeah. Alright, so we're in the car now. I'm just gonna go for a quick little drive around some country roads to show you and give a bit more feedback about what the suspension is like, what it's like to drive on a day-to-day, how it feels, how it handles. But yeah, probably just do a little bit of intro really into like costs and stuff. So in terms of how much I paid, the springs, so the H&R springs, I got them on a Black Friday sale at I think just under £250, which is pretty good considering they go for around £300 brand new. So obviously this is the all-wheel drive variant of that for the Tesla Model 3. And then for the Teins, again, they are the all-wheel drive variant, so I think if you wanted to get a rear-wheel drive, they'd be a tad bit cheaper, but I paid just under £500. So all in all, a close to coilover setup for less than £1,000, which I think is just great value for money, and definitely worth it if you're looking to get a more aggressive look on the suspension without sacrificing the ride quality, which I think is super important. And for me, like, the aim really was to get the car looking better, because no one likes that monster truck fitment. and then obviously it has to perform as well. I find that quite a lot of people end up going down or from what I've seen in forums and online, is that people go down the lowering springs route, which is fine, but end up regretting it or find difficulty daily driving a car with, you know, bad crashy suspension, just because the stock struts and dampers don't have like a good match rate with the springs. And no one really wants that, because at the end of the day you'll just end up paying the same, you know, or similar cost to a setup like this, where you've paid for a mechanic to install it, and you know, you've ridden and tested it out and found out, actually, you know, I don't quite like this setup, and then you have to pay again for it to be removed, for then to just, you know, pay more money with a coilover setup or something like this, and now you've basically, you know, wasted all that money when you could have just done it properly the first time. So I made sure I did my research, to be honest. I made sure that this setup would work, and like I said, on the forums, it's already been a tried and tested combination, the H&R springs with the Tein dampers and struts. So I think I'm really happy with it, and I would definitely recommend it to anyone who wants that aggressive look but doesn't want to compromise on the ride quality. So yeah, here we are, just driving down some country roads. Just going to do a quick demo of what it feels like on the handling of the car, and honestly it just feels so much better. Like, in the corners, the car just feels more planted. The steering responsiveness is just 10 times better. I can just feel the car staying planted around the corners, and it doesn't feel like the car's going to, you know, bounce out from the rear or get crashed or anything like that. It's definitely something that was lacking in the stock suspension, and also just the feeling of how firm the suspension is. Yes, it wasn't, so I think the stock suspension, when we did like a little test after my friend helped me install the suspension, we saw that the like rebound and compression of the strut was like way quicker on the Teins, and even on the most stiffest setting, like when we compressed the stock spring all the way down, or the stock strut all the way down, the actual like way, the amount of time that it took for the strut to then come back up was quicker on the Tein than it was on the stock suspension, which is just, yeah, a bit of a joke really, to be honest, considering how, you know, how that's supposed to be the stiffest portion of the suspension. So yeah, I do think that everyone that's looking, or anyone that's looking to change up their suspension, definitely go down this route, or just go down the coilover route. The reason why I opted against that, like I said, not to repeat myself too much, is because I did not want to, well, I didn't think it was worth it for me. Like, I just wanted a particular look, and I wanted that look without, you know, sacrificing the feel as well. So I am very happy with the setup, and there's probably more things I want to test. Like, I would like to test how it feels when I've got different settings, see how close I can actually get to the H&R springs, and like what the actual proposed most optimal quote-unquote spring rate is for the H&R springs. But it'll take a lot of tweaking. I'll probably do that, you know, at some point in the year, and see, probably do it like, not a follow-up video, but just maybe just a quick short or something like that that explains, you know, what it's like to have it at this setting and what it's like to have it at this setting, what I would propose. Because at the end of the day, like, this is like a daily driver for most people, so you want to be living in a setting where you're not compromising that. What are the cons that I found with the suspension so far? Well, the height. I'll be honest, this is not like a daily drivable height for suspension. It is difficult, to say the least, having to navigate speed bumps. You know what I wish there was? I don't know if someone's already made it, but if they had a Waze or a Google Maps where you could basically have the maps navigate you depending on speed bumps, because some of them are okay and some of them is just a every single time, which is not fun. And like it has you checking your car every single time because who wants to scrape? So often I find myself like avoiding specific routes with the speed bumps, which just isn't really fun. And I guess the only way that you can like address that is if you had a completely different suspension, such as an air ride or I don't know, something else. But yeah, that's probably the only con that I have with this, and that's not even anything to do with the dampers and shocks themselves. That's more to do with the actual like lowering springs and how much I've lowered the car. And to think I was even going to go more lowered than that, which is just a bit ridiculous. So yeah, just wanted to go through that and basically tell you the cons of having the suspension, but I think that's pretty much the only con, to be honest. So my recommendation is, if you're going for lowering springs only for this car, don't do it. Make sure that you replace the stock struts and dampers with something like this. There are other options available in the market, but the Teins are specifically for Tesla Model 3 performance cars. So yeah, thanks for listening and watching the video, and hopefully we can get some more content pushed out. Probably do like a bit of a breakdown on the interior and all the mods that I've done in here. Maybe give it a few tips and tricks on I guess how you would DIY it, and any difficulties or any like key things to watch out for. So yeah, thanks again for watching, and we'll catch you on the next one.